Our scripture reading today comes from First King chapter 21 verses 1 to 16. Please arise and hear now the word of the Lord. Let me read the passage for you. Now Naboth the Jezreelite had a vineyard in Jezreel, beside the place of Ahab king of Samaria. And after this, Ahab said to Naboth, "Give me your vineyard, that I may have it for a vegetable garden, because it is near my house, and I will give you a better vineyard for it. Or if it seems good to you, I will give you its value in money." But Naboth said to Ahab, "The Lord forbid that I should give you the inheritance of my fathers." And Ahab went into his house vexed and sullen because of what Naboth the Jezreelite had said to him. For he had said, "I will not give you the inheritance of my fathers." And he laid down away his face and would eat no food. But Jezebel, his wife, came to him and said to him, "Why is your spirit so vexed that you eat no food?" And he said to her, "Because I spoke to Naboth the Jezreelite and said to him, 'Give me your vineyard for money, or else if it please you, I will give you another vineyard for it.' And he answered, 'I will not give you my vineyard.' And Jezebel, his wife, said to him, 'Do you now govern Israel? Arise and eat bread, and let your heart be cheerful. I will give you the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite.' So she wrote letters in Ahab's name and sealed them with his seal. And he sent the letters to the elders and the leaders who lived with Naboth in his city. And she wrote in his letter, 'Proclaim a fast, and set Naboth at the head of the people, and set two worthless men opposite him, and let him bring a charge against him, saying, 'You have cursed God and the king.' Then take him out and stone him to death." And the men of his city, the elders and the leaders who lived in the city, did as Jezebel had sent word to them. As it was written in the letters that she had sent to them, they proclaimed the fast and set Naboth at the head of the people. And the two worthless men came in and sat opposite him. And the worthless man brought a charge against Naboth in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth cursed God and the king." So they took him outside the city and stoned him to death with stones. Then they sent to Jezebel, saying, "Naboth has been stoned. He is dead." As soon as Jezebel heard that Naboth had been stoned and was dead, Jezebel said to Ahab, "Arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, which he refused to give you for money. For Naboth is now not alive, but dead." And as soon as Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, Ahab arose to go down to the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite to take possession of it. Amen. Please be seated. That was a long passage, but I just picked to read everything because, this is the background, like the story that we are today talking about. I'm starting a new series called "Go All In Jesus," and today I want to talk about a story in the book of First King, and you just read together with me and realize that this is a bad story, right? Why was King Ahab bad, Sanchoy? Let's see how much you have focus on. Yep. So far so good. Okay. What else? What happened? Okay. Yeah, that's the story. Like he took Naboth vineyard. Although he had many vineyards, he just wanted that Naboth possessed because it was in front of his house or palace, and he just wanted to have it. And Ahab didn't give it. Why? Because God prohibited to, give away your land that you inherited from your fathers, ancestors. That's against the law. That's against, because God has, given that land to your ancestor, to you, and you have to keep it faithfully. Because that was a promise. That was the Old Testament law and rule. So Naboth didn't want to sell it to Ahab because it was against the law. So Ahab was sad, and what did he do? He was crying, not eating. So who actually helped him? Like his wife, Jezebel. So she you know planned and so that people will go against Ahab, or that Ahab Naboth, making false testimony. So he got stoned, and Ahab took his vineyard. That's the story. When we look at the story of King Ahab, this story, I think we often think him as one of the worst kings in Israel's history. And obviously, I think it looks like. And honestly, that's not wrong. But if we dig a little deeper, we'll see that Ahab wasn't a naturally violent or ruthless person. In fact, he was more of a coward than a tyrant. Let's break it down. When Ahab wanted Naboth's vineyard, Naboth refused to sell it. We just explained it. So instead of standing up like a real king and accepting the answer, Ahab went home, sulking, was so upset, so he wouldn't eat anything. Then his wife, Queen Jezebel, stepped in, and she, as I explained, she manipulated the people. And only after Naboth's death was dead did Ahab, go and take the vineyard for himself. It sounds very evil, but here's the thing: Ahab wasn't the mastermind behind it. I mean, but Ahab did it. Ahab actually allowed it to happen. The thing is, he let it happen. He let it happen. He went along with it. Why? Because the Bible tells us this in 1 Kings chapter 21, verse 20. So let's read it. Ahab said to Elijah, "Have you found me, O my enemy?" And so Elijah visited Ahab because God told Elijah to visit Ahab because he did something wrong. He killed Naboth and took the vineyard. So God sent Elijah to warn and correct Ahab. So Elijah came, and Ahab saw that Elijah, the great prophet, came to him. So Ahab said to Elijah, "Have you found me, O my enemy?" Because they were not in good terms. And Elijah answered, "I have found you because you have sold yourself to do what is evil in the sight of the Lord." Now, did you catch what Elijah said? He said, "You have what? Sold yourself." The Hebrew word used here is makar. So the word sold in Hebrew is makar. And it means to sell, to exchange, or to give away in return for something else. It's the same word used in Genesis 25:31 when Jacob told Esau. Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright now." Probably the story, what this is about. The word sell is exactly the word makar. Okay? So what does this mean, makar? It means Ahab traded himself away. Elijah said, "You traded yourself away." He handed over his life, his choices, and his purpose for temporary gain. That's what God, told to Ahab through Elijah. He said, "You have given up your choices, your life, your purpose for that temporary gain." So Ahab didn't kill Naboth, but he let Jezebel do it for him because he had already sold himself, Markar-ed for the wrong things. He has Markar-ed himself to the devil. So Ahab wasn't born bad or like a tyrant, but he made a choice. He sold himself to the wrong things. And that's when it hit me. When I read it, it really hit me. Ahab's downfall wasn't just because he was a bad guy, it was because of what he Markar-ed for. We all give our lives for something or to something. Some people pour out their lives for money, wealth, chasing wealth like it's the ultimate goal. We know of many do that. Others burn through their like life trying to impress people, gaining likes, chasing approval or influence. Some people even waste their life on things that won't last, you know, even a year. But here's the truth. Life isn't a free gift. It isn't a free gift to enjoy. It's something we what? Spend and sell or makar. Think about it. You only get a certain amount of time on this earth. Every single day, you're spending your life on something. The question is, are you spending it on things that will last forever? Jesus tells us exactly what's worth spending our lives on in John chapter 10, verse 28. He said, I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hand. So at the end of the day, there are only two types of people. First, those who spend their lives chasing things that will disappear. Things like money, power, pleasure, approval. And there are other people, second type of people, those who give their lives for something eternal, like Jesus, his kingdom, and the people of God. The question is, so where do you stand? Let me be real. Maybe some of you are feeling convicted right now because you know Jesus isn't really your everything. Maybe you have compartmentalized your faith, keeping it, kind of tucked away for today, like Sunday, for certain moments, for certain like time, but not letting Christianity like God shape your whole life. I had a friend who was the most committed Christian at church. It was great. I really, like look up. Because he was very faithful, and he was leading Bible studies. He prayed always passionately, and even talk about going into ministry, into ministry and becoming a missionary. But when it came to choosing a spouse, suddenly God wasn't his priority anymore. Weird. He started bending his values and making decisions based on what he wanted, not what God wanted. And if I'm honest, I've been there too. Even as a pastor, there are moments when I know that I am actually following God's desire. I know that I'm following, chasing, what I want, what I desire, while making so many excuses for doing it, or why it is okay doing it. The truth is, it's not easy it's easy to say you love God, but still refuse to fully give yourself to him. I know that. A while back, I heard a conversation between a pastor and an elder. The elder said, what if when I stand before God and he asks, what did you do with your life? I honestly wouldn't know what to say. That's what the elder said, and that also hit me really hard, because I think I'm not that different. Because deep down we all know if we haven't truly sold ourselves to God, Markar-ed our life for Jesus, something feels wrong. Something feels off. We feel restless. We feel like we are missing something. Some people think following Jesus is complicated, but it's really not. The whole Christian life boils down to this: go all in. Okay, when you read the Bible, you know, it's all about 100% commitment. Why? Because God already went all in for us when Jesus, you know, died on the cross. It wasn't half-hearted. It wasn't like 50% love and 50% I'm still sparing it for different things. Jesus didn't hold anything back when he died for you and me. He gave it all. And that's why we cannot give him anything less. That's why when we not commit 100%, we feel off. There's something wrong. We don't feel like satisfied. That's normal. I want to end my sermon with a story that really touched me when I read about it. I also went to see her gravestone. It really like challenged me. So her name is Ruby Kendrick, and she came from, she is from Texas. Um, and at the age of 25, she decided to go to Korea. At that time, it was called Chosun, to spread the gospel. She gave up everything to spread the gospel in Korea. And after just 10 months, she lost her life there. She died. And she didn't even get the chance to see the impact, the full impact of her work. When you go to Korea, there's a place called Yanghwajin, and you can see her grave there. She was buried there. And there's an inscription that says, "If I had 1,000 lives, Korea should have them all." Wow. And I think she got it. She understood what really mattered. And I want to share like her last letter. That's the exact letter that she wrote to her parents. So, the sad thing is the parents didn't receive this letter before she died. So she died first and the letter arrived later. And I want to read it for you because I think this shows us what it means to Markar for Jesus. Dad, Mom, this land, Chosun, is truly a beautiful land. They all resemble God. I see their good heart and zeal for the gospel. And I believe that in few years, it will be a land overflowing with the love of Christ. I saw children walking over 10 miles on barefoot to hear the gospel, and the love of God in them encourages me. But the persecution is getting stronger. 2 days ago, 3 or 4 of those who have accepted Christ less than a week have been dragged away and were martyred. Missionary Thomas and James were also martyred. They were orders from the mission board to return, but most of the missionaries are in hiding and worshiping with those whom they have shared the gospel with. It seems that they are all planning to be martyred. Tonight, I have strong desire to return home. I remember you, Mom, who resisted to the last moment of me leaving the port because of the stories of the hate of foreigners and opposition to the gospel. That, Mom, perhaps this may be the last letter I'll be writing. The seed that was sown in the backyard before I came out here must. Another seed bears many flowers in the land of Korea, and there will be seeds to other nations. I will bury my heart in this land. I realize that this passion for Korea that I have is not mine, but God's passion toward Korea. Mom, Dad, I love you. Well, this is so touching, but yeah, Ruby Kendrick was Markar-ed Jesus. She died there in 10 months. So I think the challenge is, what are you marked for? What are you sold for? Can we close our eyes? Can the praise team come forward? Um, I wanna pray together, and well, I think, I don't know when you will embrace the same or confront the same problem that I have these days, but one day you will. I'm 100% sure. One day you will feel like life feel like meaningless, and life feels like bored or boring. Like you will feel bored. You feel like, why do I exist? What is the purpose of life? Um, and maybe the answer is, but you will still like there's no like this strong passion to live with energy, to live with a, strong, purpose. Especially as a Christian. Especially as a Christian. And I'm telling you, the reason why we go through those phases is because we haven't go all in. There's always something that I want to do it in my way. I don't want to commit 100%. And I'm telling you, if you live like that, you will always struggle. You always struggle as a Christian. Will never, your minds and your head will never be cleared. You will always like struggle, like what you want to do, how you want to live. You will struggle with your addictions. You will struggle with, your problems, financial, like worries. Everything will worry you. And that will never end. If I bet this is what I've learned. You can make millions of dollars every year, but still you will be scared of money. It will never stop. You'll be worried about your health. You'll be worried about your spouse, relationship, your ability, your look, how people view you, how people will look at you. It will never end. Why? Because we are made to pursue something and fill our hearts 100%. It is Jesus Christ. Let's think about this. At the end of the day, we're all spending our lives on something. The question today is it worth it? Review your past week. You spent hours and hours doing something. Was it worth it? Was it really worth it? Ahab wasted his life chasing temporary things. He, killed a person because he wanted that vineyard. He was a king. He killed his own people. He knew about God, but never fully, gave himself to God. He sold himself to the wrong things. And this is what we learn. Don't make the same mistake. Be all in. Give everything to Jesus. Stop holding back. Let your life be marked for